Welcome back to EDU-Tutor. Today we'll be looking at establishing a business. An entrepreneur is expected to be the person who starts a business and is also expected to be a risk taker. He or she is known to bring the factors of production together as well as to raise capital, which he or she will use to finance the business. They will also invest a lot of time and a lot of effort into getting the business idea into a successful business. So, turning the business idea into a successful business. Of course, the entrepreneur is expecting to get a reward in the form of a profit. The entrepreneur is expected to combine all the factors of production as we previously said, and therefore we can define an entrepreneur as an individual who combines all the factors of production, which include land, labor, and capital, with the aim of establishing a profitable venture for the production of goods and services. Now, this person is expected to show some form of creativity and takes on a venture to start the business. Some of the functions of an entrepreneur include conceptualizing, planning, accessing funds, organizing, operating a business, and evaluating the performance of the business. So, what do we mean by conceptualizing? What does this process entail? So, conceptualizing is coming up with an idea which the person, which is the entrepreneur, enjoy and sees to be profitable. The aim is to provide something which is limited or lacking. So, an entrepreneur typically looks around in their environment to see what is limited, what is lacking, what is it that I'm good at doing, right? And from that, they generate a business idea. So that is why an entrepreneur is expected to be creative so that they can just come up with an idea that no one would have thought about before, right? So we don't want to be going around making businesses of the same idea. We want something that is not there as yet, not present, right? So that is the aim. Planning, as we said, is another function of an entrepreneur, and it is a key aspect of the enterprise. So, a successful entrepreneur will only succeed if they can create well structured plans, setting out goals and objectives, and the steps required to achieve these objectives. This often takes the form of a business plan, which sets out clear plans on paper or in a computer generated document. And we will be looking at business plan in our next video, which you will see attached. There will be a link where you can click on the link and it will take you there. Or you can just look in this playlist and you will see it. Accessing funds is another function of the entrepreneur, and it involves acquiring information from banks, credit unions, venture capitalists on loan terms, years, and repayment terms. There may also be funds from family, friends, and one's own savings. So, an entrepreneur can use their own personal savings to start up their business, but many times they won't have as much. So they will seek funding outside of that. They can seek it from investors, they can seek it from banks, credit unions, and other places such as friends and family. An entrepreneur is also expected to organize the resources that they have. He or she needs to hire someone who is organized to manage the details of their business. In a business, you need to provide products that meet customer expectations, which are safe and delivered on time. You need to build a reputation for reliability, and you will only be able to do this by being organized. Organization involves establishing patterns, procedures, and deadlines. Even in the creative industries such as music and film, it is essential to be organized. For example, a recording artist will need to be at a recording studio at certain times and to provide input or feedback on time to meet the requirements of the industry. Another function of the entrepreneur is to actually operate the business. So after you come up with the business idea, you need to be there, you need to be present to know that the business is running smoothly. So the operations of the business are the activities that it carries out to produce a product or service. For example, the operations of a small hotel will include booking in the guests, making sure that rooms are clean and ready for them on time, attending to their needs, managing any service issues, etc. An entrepreneur needs to identify the essential operations of a business and make sure that these are run effectively. As part of operating a business, they will often need to take risks, which is a common characteristic of an entrepreneur. So, the entrepreneur is also expected to evaluate the business performance, which includes monitoring the operations of the business and comparing what they projected to occur against what actually happened, right? So if the actual performance is below the budget, then there should be some corrective action and the problem needs to be investigated. All right, so these were some terms that would have come up during what we just said. So, what's the difference between a goal and an objective? A goal is a destination that we want to be at. A goal is what you want to achieve at the end, but the objectives basically outline the steps that we're going to take to get to that goal. So these are specific and measurable results that a business wants to achieve in a specific time frame. Funds are the money made available for a specific purpose. Startup capital is the money used to launch a new business. And when we evaluate, we consider something in order to make a judgment. And that was when we're talking about evaluating the business performance. For example, to consider what a business has achieved in order to judge how well it is doing. So that is evaluating. What are some characteristics of a typical entrepreneur? So we just looked at some functions of an entrepreneur. Now we're looking at characteristics of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is expected to be creative. They should have the propensity to calculate risks or to take calculated risks. They should be optimistic, resourceful, persevering, innovative, goal oriented, flexible, and persistent. Let's just look at some of those characteristics in more detail. So, when we say that an entrepreneur is supposed to be creative, what do we mean? We mean that they need to come up with some ideas that are innovative. So, great ideas that will spark the interest of investors. They should also be innovative, right? So, what's the difference between creative and innovative? Creativity is the process of coming up with new ideas, while innovation is turning those ideas into actual reality. So, if the entrepreneur does not have these characteristics, then they will not be able to make up a good idea and get it to life. The entrepreneur should also be flexible. The business environment is always changing, which means that customers are changing, competitors are changing, rules and regulations are changing, and the actions of suppliers are also changing. So, as an entrepreneur, you need to ensure that you are constantly checking on the environment which you are operating a business in so that whatever changes occur, you can be flexible enough to adapt to those situations. Goal oriented, an entrepreneur needs to be able to work towards a goal and stay put on that direction, right? Persistent. An entrepreneur needs to be persistent, which means that they need to keep going even when they face discouragement or adversity. And persevering, which means that you stick to it. Stick to it. Stick to your plan. Stick to your goal. Stick to whatever you said you were going to do. Propensity to take calculated risks. What do we mean by propensity? It means a tendency to behave or act in a certain way. So that person who is an entrepreneur should have the ability to take calculated risk, right? So you don't just take any risk. You ensure that you say, okay, there's a 50% chance that this is going to go here or there, and then you take the most appropriate risk. All right. So now we're at roles of an entrepreneur in decision making progress. So an entrepreneur is expected to operate a business, and then he or she should evaluate, conceptualize, plan, access funds, and organize the factors of the business or the production process. Sorry. All right, so some of these terms would have been previously discussed. So I'm just going to explain how that relates to decision making. Conceptualizing. So this is a process of creating a business idea, as we previously said. But it also includes discussing or deciding who are we targeting with our business, what products will we offer, and the unique selling proposition that will make the business successful. All right, so that is also included in conceptualizing. Planning is also a part of decision making, and in this step, the entrepreneur sets goals and decides how he or she is going to achieve them. The entrepreneur should also access financing, and that is a part of decision making. The entrepreneur needs to decide how they will acquire funds. Some sources of funds could be from personal savings, as we previously said, or they can get it from a friend, a business loan, a bank, etc. For organizing of factors of production, this involves identifying suitable combinations of land, machinery, equipment, materials, and labor. Operating the business. In this step, the entrepreneur will have to win orders for products, meet orders on time, interact with customers, maintain quality of products, create payment systems, and stay on top of finances. So that is what happens in operating the business. Evaluating the business, we need to monitor the business to see if the business is meeting the performance that we had budgeted. So we need to answer questions like, how well is the business performing? Are we planning? Are we keeping the plan? Sorry. How are we performing against our original objectives? And what are the major risks that we face? Entrepreneurs are also expected to be risk bearing, and we know what that means. It's bearing risk is always inevitable to an entrepreneur. But an entrepreneur needs to measure the risk and take calculated risk to know how profitable of a risk that is. All right, so why do people start businesses? Why would you start a business? And whatever reason you give for starting a business, that would be an answer to this question. More than likely, you're going to say you want financial independence. So you want to be able to purchase some things that you were not able to do before. Have you want to have multiple streams of income. You want to be fulfilled. So you want to feel self-fulfilled. You want to have self-actualization, or you want to control your life. So you have increased control when you start up your business. You want to have a flexible work schedule. So you know that you will have a flexible work schedule when you start working for yourself. So those would be some reasons. All right. So outline the role of an entrepreneur in economic development. Entrepreneurs, they provide goods and services for citizens. So if you start a clothing business, you are providing a good, which is clothing, to the citizens of a country. If you open no, all right, a delivery company, you would be offering a service to the citizens of a country. Now, when you start a business, you're going to need help, and the persons who you hire, they will get a job. And so you create jobs for persons in the country. So that is of offering or assisting in economic development, because those persons now have an income, right? And the fact that they have an income, they will be more economically stable. Contributing to nation building, because we have businesses and we're earning an income as the business, so we're contributing to the GDP and the GNP. Earning foreign exchange, some persons overseas might buy from us, and so we will be earning foreign exchange, and we know that foreign exchange assists the country because that's the money that the country use to buy goods and services from other countries. All right, so these are the steps that we take to establish a business. We conceptualize, then we research the market, we identify the resources, we create a business plan, we acquire funds, and we operate the business. We discuss what conceptualizing is, the idea of creating creating a business idea, right? It also include discussing what type of product or service you're interested in offering and the potential name for the business, as well as where do you expect to locate the business. You will also need to conduct a market research. And what are some questions that you would ask when you're doing your market research? You need to ask yourself, what features of the products and services are the customers looking for? Where do they want the product, and how much are they prepared to pay? How strong is the competition, and what are the competitors offering that is similar? So, let's say you come up with a delivery company idea. You're going to say the service that you're offering is a delivery company. Sorry, a delivery service. But what are the customers looking for? Are they looking for food to be delivered, or for pickups, or grocery delivered? What are they looking for? Where do they want the product? Is it needed in the rural area, in the uptown area? Where? How much are they prepared to pay? Are they prepared to pay more if the goods are delivered at a specific time? Are they prepared to pay more if the company can do drop-offs, which means picking up the customer and dropping them off at a location? Those questions will need to be asked. How strong is the competition? So who are the other delivery companies around your area? You will also need to identify your resources. The entrepreneur needs to identify human, financial, and material resources that are needed. Planning is very important, and that is why you need a business plan, which we said that we're going to look at in our next video. Planning, it increases the chance of the business being successful. The business plan should include facts and research about the proposed business. The business plan must not be rushed, and all the details must be clearly outlined and researched. The entrepreneur needs to also acquire funds, and he or she needs to decide where they're going to get the financing from. You have two different types. You have different types of financing. You have short-term financing, which you use to start up the business, and you have long-term financing, which is used to expand the business. All right. That is it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.